All right, so let's start from the first question. So I think we've done a few of these questions. Hamna, do you remember?
Ma'am, I guess we have done 2 of them.
Okay. Have we done the third one?
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay, I think we have done the third one as well. That's what I can recall. But in any case, let's start doing them again. The the problem is I am not able to use that annotate option this time. I'm not able to write on the PDF this time. Just a minute. Okay. Anyway, so let's start doing the third one. Hamna, if you remember whether we have done it or not, just let me know. Okay. So the question is, if 2 comma 0 is a solution of the linear equation 2x plus 3y is equal to k, then what is the value of k? So 2x plus 3y is equal to k. This is our solution. And they're telling us that 2 comma 0 is, sorry, this is our equation. And they're telling us that this is the solution of that equation. So what do we need to do? What should we do? If we need to find the value of k, if this is a solution, then what will happen? Does anyone remember?
Ma'am, we have to put those values on the place of the variables and solve it.
Okay, so let's do that. So Hamna, can you tell me what I should write? Yes, Hamna? Miraj, can you tell me what I should write? Miraj, are you there? Are you guys able to hear me? Miraj, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Yeah, Hamna. Okay, so please tell me what should I write?
Ma'am, 2 bracket 2 plus 3 bracket 0 is
Yeah,
equal to k.
is equal to k. Okay, so guys, I really request you guys to be prompt in answering, because just to go from one step to the other, if it's going to take us 3 minutes, then we're going to be really slow. Okay, so please be prompt in answering when the teacher is asking you a question. Okay, and I don't have to call out your names one by one. You can just unmute and answer whenever you know the answer. Okay, so this is going to be 4 plus 0 is equal to k. So the value of k comes out to be 4. I hope that's okay. I hope you guys understood this. So now I'm gonna share the screen again. Yeah. So the value of k is 4. Now let's think about the fourth question. Miraj, can you read out the fourth question, please?
Any solution of the linear equation 2x plus 0y plus 9 is equal to 0 and two variables as of the form.
Okay. So what are they asking us, Miraj? Can you explain this question to us? Miraj, did you understand the question?
No, I did not.
Okay. So let's try to understand it, okay? So it says any solution of the linear equation 2x plus 0y. So this is a linear equation, okay? I think we already did this. I have a feeling we did this, right, Hamna? Do you remember?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we have done this one. So let's move on. I'm not going to explain this again. You guys, if you want, you can look at the solution, look at the recordings because we've done this one. So I'm not going to spend more time on this. I think let's do the fifth one, okay? There is a linear equation that is given to us, and they're asking us that it cuts the y-axis at which point. So what are we going to do to find out which point, at which point does it cut the x-axis? How are we going to find that out? Think. Sorry. What can we do? How can we find it out? Okay. How many of you understood this question? No one understood.
Ma'am, me.
Acha, you understood. Okay, Hamna. So, Hamna, please tell me, what do you think we can do? How can we solve it?
Ma'am, I guess we need to draw a graph.
Okay. So, firstly, if anyone didn't understand this question, it says, well, this is the equation, and we know that an equation will correspond to a graph. You can plot a graph for a given equation, and we have seen how to do that. So they're asking that the equation, the graph of this equation, it's going to be a line, right? And it is going to cut the y-axis at some of the other point. So just a minute. So if my graph is like this is my Cartesian planes, my axis, x-axis, y-axis, and so on. And let's say my line is like this, right? Then it is cutting the y-axis at this point. Okay, but let's say my line is like this. Let's say it is like this. Then it is cutting the y-axis at this point. So there is only one, there's only one type of line which will never cut the x-axis. Can you tell me which type of line will it be? Can anyone tell me? A line which will never cut the x-axis, never cross the x-axis.
The line which is parallel to x-axis.
The line which is parallel to y-axis, right? This will never cross the y-axis. This will never cut the y-axis, right, Hamna? So we will say that this line which is parallel to the y-axis, this will never cross it, And yeah, so do you guys remember what was the equation for this line? We talked about it in the previous class. Do you remember? Do you remember it was x is equal to 0? Sorry, not 0. X is equal to a, or it could be anything. A, b, like it could be, 2, 3, minus 1, anything. X is equal to some constant, right? So this is our point A, and we are saying x is equal to a, and that is the line of A. Achha, first of all, guys, are there any doubts, any confusions from the previous lesson or anything before that? Any doubts?
No.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So this is the one type of line, any line which is parallel to the y-axis, it won't cut the y-axis, right? So that line has to be of this form, x is equal to a. But the line that is given to us is 2x plus 3y, so something like that, right? Wait, let me just check. Yeah, 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. Is equal to 6. So we know that this line will be something of either this form, like the red line, or something like just a minute, or something like this. Wait, or it could be something like this. Like basically, it is cutting the y-axis at some or the other point. It is cutting the y-axis. This one is cutting the y-axis over here. This one is cutting the y-axis over here. So that's what they're asking us, that you draw a line. I'm sorry, you plot a graph for this. It will be in the shape of a line. And where is that line cutting the y-axis? That's what they're asking us. So what do you guys think? How should we find it? So Hamna said that, well, one thing we could do is, just a minute. Hamna said one thing we could do is we could plot the graph for this. So we know that the equation is 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. So we can easily plot its graph. We know how to plot it. And then once we're done over there, then we can see, oh, which point is it crossing the y-axis at. Is there any other way in which we can figure that out? Because plotting the graph takes plenty of time. Okay, think about it like this. So let's first do let's first solve it in the way that Hamna is asking us to solve it. So let's plot the graph first, and then we'll find out a pattern. So yes, Hamna, can you please guide me? What should I write here?
Ma'am, if x is 0, then y will be 2.
Yes. Hamna, I can't hear you. You're not audible. Miraj, can you tell me? Miraj?
Ma'am, if y is
Yes.
0, then x will be 4.
Okay. So if y is 0, Miraj, take a look at it carefully over here. So we have 2x plus 3 and y is 0, right? Y is 0. So 3 times 0 is equal to 6. So we have 2x as it is. And plus 3 times 0 is what, Miraj?
0.
0 is equal to 6. Now what do I have on the LHS?
2x.
2x. And what do I have on the RHS?
6.
6. So 2 multiplied by what will give you 6?
3.
Yes. So x is equal to 6 divided by 2, which is equal to 3, right? So x, so when y is 0, x is 3. So let's plot these two things. Let's say this is my 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So when x is 0, when my x is 0, y is 2. When my x is 0, y is 2. So this is 1 point, 0, comma 2. And the other point is 3 when x is 3 and y is 0. So this is my other point, 3, comma 0. So then I join these two things. Oops. Okay, and that is my line for this equation. Just a minute. So that is my line for this equation. And I say, well, at which point is it crossing the y-axis? Miraj, can you tell me? What is the name of that point? This is the y-axis. This is the x-axis.
0,2.
Yes. So the answer will be, it is crossing the y-axis at 0,2. So let's take a look at the answers, the options, sorry, the options. And we were over here. So which one is the answer? Miraj?
A.
Miraj, was it 0,2 or 2,0? Do you remember?
0,2, sorry. D.
Yes, right. So it is D. Now, the thing that we were talking about, the shortcut, was so now let's take a look at it again. Okay, so 2x, oops, it's kind of messed up a little bit. So 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. And we want to know where it is crossing the graph on the y-axis. On the y-axis. So can you tell me, if you have any point on the y-axis, which coordinate of that point will be 0? Let's take a look at the previous. Yeah. Any point on the y-axis, which coordinate, x coordinate or y coordinate, which coordinate of that point will be 0 on the y-axis?
X coordinate.
Yes. So we can say, now look at this carefully and think about it a little bit. Okay, any point on the y-axis, it will look like 0, y. Okay, like the first part, the x part of it will be 0 and the y part of it will be something. Okay, now any point any point on the x-axis will look like, what will it look like, Miraj? Just think about this, and you can say the opposite of that. Any point on the x-axis will look like what? Now take a look at it over here. Miraj? Yes? Any point on the x-axis, what will it look like? Hamna?
X comma 0.
Yes, that's right. So it will look like x comma 0, right? Just take a look at all the points over here. What is this point? So this is, let's say, 1, this is 2, this is 3. 1, 2, 3. These are the markings. Okay, this is not the name of the point. It's just a marking. So Miraj, what is the name of this point?
1.
No, what are the coordinates of this point? Miraj, what are the coordinates of this point? It is 1, 0, right?
Yes.
And this one
2,
is
0.
yes, exactly. 2, 0. Then we have 3, 0, 4, 0, and so on. Then let's talk about this one. Oops, something wrong with my. Let's talk about this one. What is the name of this point? What is the x coordinate? How much are we moving from the origin? How much are we moving in the x direction? We're not moving any distance in this direction, in the left right direction. We're only moving upwards. So there is 0 movement in the x direction. So this will be 0, comma. Yes, Hamna, can you tell me?
1.
0, 1. And then the next point is 0, 2 over here. And then the third one will be 0, 3 over here. So Miraj, now can you see that pattern that every point on the, let me just a sec. Every point on the x-axis looks like x, 0. Okay. And every point on the y-axis looks like 0, y. Right? It really makes sense. It's pretty simple. And why? Because, well, on the y-axis, x coordinate is 0. Okay. And on the x-axis, y coordinate is 0. So now can you take a look at this equation and tell me, any of you, that if you are searching for where it crosses the y-axis, then which coordinate in this equation will be 0? Which variable out of x and y will be 0?
X.
Yes, this part will be 0. So we will say, well, this part is cancelled, it is 0. So our thing, it becomes 3y is equal to 6. That means y is equal to 6 divided by 3, and that is 2. So that means our x, we know already that our x coordinate is 0. And y coordinate, we found out that it is going to be 2. So that is how we found it out. So we don't have to, sit and plot the whole thing. An easier way is to just, if you were looking on the y-axis, then you put x0. And if you're looking at x-axis, then y0. So you just do that and you quickly find it out. I hope that's clear. If there's any doubt about this, please let me know. No? Okay. All right. Let's go to our questions. Yeah. So we talked about the fact that x is equal to 7 is a linear equation, but it just has one variable. So how can this be rewritten as a linear equation in 2 variables? So the first one is 1 into x plus 1 into y is equal to 7. I have a feeling we did this also. Maybe I'm wrong. The second one is 1 into x plus 0 into y is equal to 7. Third one is 0 into x plus 1 into y is equal to 7. And fourth one is 0x plus 0y is equal to 7. So which one is the same as x is equal to 7?
Ma'am, B.
Yes, B is the same, because in B we have 1x and that's the same as x, right? And we have 0y, and 0y eventually reduces to 0. So that doesn't add any weight to our equation. This is equal to 7. So in 2 variables, if you want to represent this same equation in 2 variables, you write it like this, and as the one it is given in B. Yeah. So Miraj, can you answer the 7th question? We just now discussed this. Yes, Miraj, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So Can you please tell me the seventh question? How are we going to solve it? Any point on the x-axis. Now, if you want, you can draw the x-axis and start numbering the markings and start making the points. So just think about it like this, okay? Miraj, think about it like this. So on the x-axis, so you know, x and y are something like neighboring countries or something, okay? So if there's a point that lies exactly on the x-axis, it lies like on the x-axis and not a bit above, not a bit below, but it lies on the x-axis, then over there, y will be 0 because it is on the x-axis, right? So the value of y will be 0. It's like, you know, it's like saying, well, you know, x is saying to y that if there is a point that lies entirely on me, then there's no value for y, for you, you know. So if there's a point that lies on the x-axis, there's no value of y. So you can just be like, you know, forget about y. So y is 0. And conversely, if there is if there is you know, a point that lies on the y-axis, then the x coordinate of it will be 0, and there will be something in the y coordinate. It can be anything. So now can you tell me, Miraj, the answer for the seventh one, please?
B.
Let me just see, Miraj. So this is my origin. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. X, Y. Okay. So any point on this, obviously going to be negatives also, but I'm not writing that stuff here just to keep it simple. So any point on the x-axis. So what is the x-axis? I'm going to now mark the x-axis. This is my x-axis. Okay. What is my y-axis? This is my y-axis. Okay. Now just take a look at any point on, any point on the x-axis. This is, what is this point? So whatever point we write it like, first we write the x coordinate, then we write the y coordinate. Okay. So for this point, the x coordinate is 1 and the y coordinate is 0. So this point is 1, 0. The next point is 2, 0, and so on. So as I said, Miraj, any point on the x-axis, its y coordinate will be 0. Why? Because, well, it is completely in the domain of x now. It's completely lying in the territory of x now. So there is nothing at all that is going to be from y. Y is not going to contribute anything. Y is going to be 0, because you can see that, you know, you can see that the distance from the origin here, like you can say the value of y, if something lies at this level, we change the color. So if something lies at this level, the value of y of any point at this level is going to be 1. So it's going to be something x, 1, right? X coordinate can be anything, and it'll be 1. Like if that point lies on this level. If there's a point that lies on this level, it's going to be of the form x, 3, because the y coordinate, the value of y over here is 3. But if something lies over here at this level, which floor are we on when we're talking about the y-axis? We're on the 0th floor, right? Here we were on the first floor, here we were on the 3rd floor. But now when it comes to the y-axis, we're on floor number 0. So y has no value here. Like over here, y had 3 because this was 3. Y coordinate was 1 because over here this was 1. But here y is 0, right? Vertically, there's no value of y. So any point over here will be of the form, oh, I'm sorry, I'm writing it in yellow. Just a minute. So any point over here will be of the form x comma 0. Okay, so just remember, any point on the x-axis, it will have x coordinate in it and the y coordinate will be 0. Any point on the y-axis, it will be 0 comma y, because x coordinate will be 0 and y there will be something. Okay, I hope that's clear, Miraj.
Yes, ma'am.
So Hamna, can you tell me the eighth one?
Ma'am, A.
Yeah, the answer is A, because any point on that, as we saw previously also, when we draw a line of x is equal to y, then whatever point lies on that line, it will be like 0 comma 0, 1 comma 1, 2 comma 2. So it will be like whatever is the x coordinate, the y coordinate will be the same. So it's a comma a. Acha, can you tell me, Hamna, look at option number D, and can you tell me what will be the equation for a line that passes, for a line on which every point is of this form? What will be the equation for a line on which every point is of this form?
Ma'am, x plus y is equal to 0.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Okay, now let me just ask you guys another question. What will be the equation of a line on which every point is of the form a comma 2a? Think about it. Did you understand the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Hamna, any ideas yet?
No, ma'am.
Think about it. So the same way in which you thought about a comma a or a comma minus a, the same way think about this as well. Okay, so if you take a look at it, you'll see that if we say that the x coordinate is a and y coordinate is 2a, and what is a? What is a? A is x, right? So we can say that, I'm just going to rewrite this statement. Okay, y is equal to 2a, right? A, and what is a, Hamna?
X.
X. So can I rewrite it like this? 2x minus y is equal to 0. I just rewrote this thing. I just took y to the other side. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this will be the equation for a point for the line on which every point looks like this. So all right. Okay, let's see who remembers this. The ninth one. Let's see who remembers.
Ma'am, B.
Okay, very good. Excellent, Miraj. See, I'll show you how. Or let's do one thing. So it says equation of x-axis is of the form. So let's just a minute. Let's select 2 points. And I'm gonna where's my line? Yeah, that is. Okay. So as you see, the equation for this, let me just change its color. Okay, so the equation of this line is y is equal to 0. Why is it like that? Because the same logic that applies, right? X is unlimited. X can be anything. So if you want, you can take x as 3. You know, this point, at this point, the point C is what? 3 comma 0, right? The point D is 4 comma 0, and so on. So x is not bound, x is not restricted by anything. So we won't talk about x. But yeah, y has a restriction, and that is y is equal to 0. Y is constantly 0 at every single point of this line. That's why the equation of this line, as you can see on the left hand side over here, it is y is equal to 0. Hamna, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's move on to the next one. The 10th one. Let's see who answers this. The graph of y is equal to 6. So y is equal to 6 is a linear equation, and we're going to plot its graph. It's going to be a line. How is that line going to, what is that line going to look like?
Ma'am, A.
Yes. Parallel to graph of, so we talked about this before. We said that graph of y is equal to 6 or y is equal to anything. So y is equal to something, it will be parallel to x-axis, and x is equal to something will be parallel to y-axis. Okay, so that's one thing you need to remember. You don't need to just memorize it. You can also just, you know, plot something on the go and see whether you're right about your guess. So yeah, parallel to x-axis at a distance 6 units from the origin. Achha, by the way, does anyone know what is the meaning of intercept? Intercept basically means, so let me just show it to you. Just a minute. So if I have this line, okay, or just a minute.
Ma'am, cut off.
Yes, cut off. I hope you're not Googling that, Miraj,
No,
because
ma'am.
I've had students do that in the past, and it's very annoying when students do that. Anyways, so oops, what just happened? Yeah, so this, and let's say this, okay? So oops, let me just change its color. Get something bright. Okay. So you can see this orange line, right? So the y-intercept, now hear this carefully, the y-intercept is where the orange line cuts the y-axis, and the x-intercept is where the orange line cuts the x-axis. So what is the y-intercept in this case? Can you see the numbers? I hope you can zoom in and see the numbers. Yeah. It is 4. The y-intercept is 4. And what is the x-intercept?
Ma'am, 4.
Yes, x-intercept is also 4. So our question, it's talking about making an intercept on the x-axis. But the thing is, if something makes an intercept on the x-axis, that means on any of the axes, it means it crosses those axes, right? But we know that this thing y is equal to 6 will be parallel to what? It will be parallel to the x-axis. So it will look like, let me just type in x is equal to 6. Y is equal to 6. Where'd it go? Oh, just a minute. Oops. Yeah, there you go. So that is what our y is equal to 6 looks like. So let's move on to the next one. Everything clear up till here? Or do you want me to repeat something? Everything clear? Just
Yes,
confirm
ma'am.
it. Yeah, okay, thanks. Now, the 11th one. Can someone tell me the answer for the 11th one? Just solve it and let me know.
Ma'am, C.
Okay. Miraj, what about you? I have a feeling we also did this one in the previous lesson or one of the previous lessons. Yeah, so the answer will be C. Why? Because clearly x is equal to 5, y is equal to 2. And when you do x plus y, which is 5 plus 2, the answer is 7, right? Okay, let's take a look at the 12th one. So the thing is, in the 12th question, the trick here is to just notice the pattern in these points. Notice the pattern. And then you can think about what the equation can be. Do you guys want me to help you out? Yes.
Ma'am, B.
Yes, the answer will be B. Okay, Miraj, I'll just take a few minutes to explain this to you. See, Miraj, can you see that the each of these 3 points, minus 2 comma 2, 0 comma 0, 2 comma minus 2, can you tell me, are they of the form a comma minus a? What is the form of the point a comma minus a? And we saw that in one of the previous questions as well, a comma minus a. What does that mean? It means that x and y coordinate are, negatives of each other. Like it's going to be the same thing, except that it's going to be the negative of that. So if it's 2, if x coordinate is 2, then y will be minus 2. Or if x is minus 2, then y will be plus 2. And 0 comma 0 also falls in that pattern itself, right? Because 0 is the negative of itself. So these three are of the form, these three points are of the form a comma minus a. So, and then we saw that a comma minus a, if there is uh, if there is a line on which every point is like a comma minus a, sorry, then that line is going to be y is equal to minus x. And when you bring both y and x on the same side, it becomes y plus x, or x plus y is equal to 0. And that's why it's going to be b. Okay. Is that clear, Miraj?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in case you're having any doubts or anything, you're always free to, like, rewatch, revisit these video recordings. Anyway, so the positive solutions of the equation this always lie in which quadrant? So I think let's not do this one. We don't have much time. Um, okay, let's do the 14th one, and this is very similar to the previous one that we did. In fact, it was the same. It was the same equation as well. So instead of now this time, instead of drawing the whole graph, we're going to try to figure out from the shortcut that we talked about. So now you guys have to tell me what is the first thing that I need to do. So if it meets the x-axis, so they're saying that it meets the x-axis. So if it meets the x-axis, so with the point at which it meets the x-axis, what will it look like? The x coordinate will be something. Yes, Amna?
Ma'am, x comma 0.
Yes, it will be x comma 0. So now we can rule out these two things. We can rule out A and we can rule out D. Now we have only two options, B and C. Now x comma 0, that means the y coordinate is going to be 0. So just put y is equal to 0 in this equation.
Ma'am, C.
Yes, C. When you put y is equal to 0, this becomes 2x is equal to 6, and then that becomes x is equal to 3. Sorry. Okay. 15th question. Now let's see who answers this first.
Ma'am, C.
Yes, it's going to be C because, well, y and x have to be the same. So we can see that it's only in C, the C option, that both x and y coordinates are the same. So I think we did the 16th one in the previous, in one of the previous lessons. So I'm going to move on. Let's take a look at the question number 18. It's also very similar to the question that we've been doing, but just for your practice. Question 18.
Ma'am, C.
Yes, again C, right? A comma A will lie on the line y is equal to x. And we've talked about this before. And we've also talked about the 19th one. So yeah, that's it. Where my cursor go? Just a minute. Yeah. So that's about it. Any doubts in this chapter so far? Any doubts? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if there are any doubts, just let me know. And I'm gonna take a look at a few more questions. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. Let me just. Okay, so my question is, where is my whiteboard? Yeah. So there's this equation which is 2x plus 5y is equal to 20. Okay. Now you need to determine, so this is going to have a graph, right? This is going to have a graph. I need to find out that which point on this graph, on the graph of this equation, which point on this graph will be such that the x coordinate is 5.5 times its y coordinate. Did you understand the question? So this is an equation. You have to find out at which point will the x coordinate be 5.5 times its y coordinate. What can we do in this? Any ideas, guys?
Ma'am, I didn't understand the question.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know, Hamna. So the question says that, so this is an equation and it's going to, it's going to have a whole line. Like you can plot this equation into a line. Let's say that, just a minute. So let me just roughly draw the line. So the line is going to be something like this, right? Actually, no, it's going to be like, okay. So now the question is, so this line is going to have many points on it, right? Many points. Now the question is, which of these points, and you have to name the point, which point is such that the x coordinate, whatever is the x coordinate, so this will be 5.5 times the y coordinate. On which point, which of these points, and you have to name that point. How can we do this? Okay, so let me help you guys out a little bit. So the question says that the x coordinate is 5.5 times its y coordinate. So let's say that the y coordinate, or we can just call it ordinate, right? But I think it's just better to say y coordinate. Anyway, so y coordinate is, let's say it is, I don't know, t. Okay, let's call it t. You can call it anything you want. You can call it s also. You can call it a, b, anything. Or I think let's just call it a because we've been using a a lot. So let's say that the y coordinate is a. So x coordinate will be 5.5 times the y coordinate. So 5.5 times the y coordinate, which is a. So 5.5 times a. So the x coordinate, so that point, whichever that point is, it will look like 5/2 times a, comma, a. Oops. A. Why? Because this is the x coordinate, this is the y coordinate. Okay. That is the point, one of the points that lies on this line, and it looks like this. Now we have to find out what exactly this point is. So now I've made things easier for you. Now can you tell me how can we find out the exact value of this point? Yes, any ideas? It's okay, even if you're wrong, guys. Don't be shy. I'm not gonna scold you. Hamna, did you get the question? Did you understand it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you solving it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell me how are you doing it? So basically what we do, Miraj, is that, so we know that this is the x coordinate, this is my x, and this is my y. and we know that this point lies on the line of this equation. So if it lies on that line, then it is going to satisfy this equation. So we just chupchap say we just put this x and y, the value of this x and y over here in x and in y. So we have 2 times 5 by 2a, right? Because that is what my x is. My x is 5 by 2a, comma, I'm sorry, not comma, plus, because there's a plus in between.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
plus 5 times y, and that y is how much,
A.
Miraj?
A.
Yes, exactly. So 5 times a is equal to 20. So now we have 2 and 2 getting cancelled, right, Miraj?
Yes,
Then we
ma'am.
have 5a plus 5a is equal to 20. So now can you tell me what this becomes, the left hand side,
10A.
Miraj? Yes, 10a is equal to 20. So now what is the value of a?
20 minus 10.
20 divided by 10, because this
Oh,
is
yeah.
10 multiplied by a, right? So
Yes.
20 divided by 10, and that is 2. Why? Because you see 10 into 2, or you can say um, 10 multiplied by 2 is equal to 20, right? So this a is equal to 2. So a is equal to 2. If a is 2, then what does this point actually become? What is the value of this point? Can someone tell me?
5 by 2
Yes, yes, you're on the right track.
into 2.
Yes, and what is 5 by 2 into 2?
5.
Yes, 5. So the x coordinate is how much?
5.
5. And y coordinate is
2.
2. Very good. So the answer for this question is 5 comma 2. The point that we were looking for is 5 comma 2. So any doubts up until here, Miraj, Hamna?
No, ma'am.
Okay, no doubts. Hamna also doesn't have any doubts. So if there are no doubts, then you may leave. Miraj, any doubts?
No, ma'am. I'm just noting it down.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, ma'am. Done. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.